Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to Cooperative Chats. The Cooperative Chats is the weekly chat show for credit unions and rising professionals. And this is specifically for any rising professionals in credit unions who's a member of the Cooperative Trust or not a member of the Cooperative Trust. That's okay too. But the Cooperative Trust is one of the leading national credit union young professional communities. And this chat show is dedicated to ensuring that our rising leaders and emerging talent have access to thought leaders, leadership ideas, and basically everything that they need to help them succeed in their careers. My name is Courtney Angeli, and I'm the Director of Community Development for Filene Research Institute, as well as for the Cooperative Trust. And that means I have the amazing honor of working with all of these amazing leaders and helping them in the credit union industry and really showing them their way on their journey through credit unions. So I'm super excited for our chat today. There's a lot going on at Filene. There's a lot going on at the Cooperative Trust. Not only is there a Filene event going on right now, there's also crashers who are crashing the Filene event right now, which is so exciting. They're soaking up as much knowledge as they can on topics related to operations and human resources. So they have been deep in some work today and yesterday. So we're super excited for them to see this show later on today. So I'm just going to briefly talk about our theme for this month. And our theme this month is the learning leader. And as we know, learning doesn't always come easily for everyone. And there are times where we really do have to make a concerted effort to learn new information. So something that I mentioned in our last chat that I'm just going to keep mentioning today. This is really going to be our motto for this month. And this comes from the Filene Report, Strategic Thinking and Changing the Credit Union Landscape. And that is that learning does not come naturally to us. Often our learning is selective and we seek confirmation of what we already believe to be true. Real learning requires honest analysis of causality and facts, and success will come from a combination of good process, serendipity, and execution. And we don't have a better guest today, or you couldn't have a better guest today, excuse me, than who we have. And she's an amazing human being, and she's also the Director of Learning Events for Credit Union National Association. If you don't know already, it's Kristin Ryan, and we're so excited to bring her on. So give me just a moment while I bring her on screen. Kristin, hello.
Hello, Courtney. How are you today?
Oh, I'm so good. Thank you so much for joining us. So
Yes,
I'm
thanks
going to
for
go
having
ahead
me
and
on.
let us kick you off with just telling the audience a little bit about you and maybe one thing that doesn't define you professionally.
Of course. So, as Courtney said, I am the Director of Learning Events at the Credit Union National Association. And that means I lead an amazing team of instructional design managers. And those design managers design and develop education that are webinars, e-schools, face-to-face conferences, and soon to be virtual conferences. I specifically lead our leadership initiative of education, anywhere from young professionals all the way up to the CEO level. And that means I'm the director of Kuna Management School, and I do a few other leadership programs for the industry. Also, I lead our Young Professionals Committee, which is an outstanding group that helps me design education for young professionals. In the past 4 years, I've been really busy at Kuna, just in my professional life too. I was a crasher back in 2016. I crashed Big Bright Minds. So Filene's Big Bright Minds, it was outstanding experience. I was also a part of the World Council of Credit Unions first YP exchange program, where we traveled to Brazil and we learned from credit unions in Brazil, which was outstanding. I was also a part of DE's April 2017 Best Class Ever. Proud of
Yes, love
that.
it.
Got to throw that in there.
Always,
Um,
always.
and currently, I'm a part of Children's Miracle Network Credit Union for Kids Project 2025 team. And on that team, we are researching what the future of philanthropy looks like in credit unions. So
Yes.
staying busy with all of that. And on top of it, I'm a proud mom. I have two kids, an 8-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter that keep me busy if I wasn't busy enough.
I know I tell you this every single time we see each other. I don't know how you sleep at night because you have so much that you're doing, and I'm always just in awe of all the amazing projects that you're on. And the other thing that I'm also in awe of, we did not plan this, but I think we are actually wearing the same shirt today.
I saw that all of a sudden you came on. I was like, we're wearing the same shirt.
Yeah, we sure
Well,
are.
I love your style, Courtney. You look
Thanks.
great.
Right back at you. Oh God, that actually made my day. That's amazing. These are the things that you find out when you go live, everyone, just so you know,
Yeah.
like unplanned, but still amazing. So let's just really get into it. Young people, emerging leaders, they want to grow, they want to continue networking, and they're finding it especially challenging right now during COVID. Um, and I could not agree with them more. It's super challenging, and we want to try to continue to find ways to engage with them. So I'm just really curious. I know you mentioned that you're also pivoting to virtual. This is our second virtual crash. What are some educational opportunities open to some of these emerging leaders right now that if they can't get on a plane and get there, that they can still participate and learn something new?
So one thing definitely want to mention, I know your last cooperative chat, you talked with Antonio Neves. We love to team up with Antonio, and his content is always outstanding. We did a webinar with him a couple weeks ago about career advice. And right now we're designing a 10-minute mentorship video series for young professionals where Antonio is interviewing industry experts and giving career development advice. So those will be coming out in July. Those are free. Those will be on the Kuna news page. So we're excited to have those out. And then coming up by the end of 2020, we will have a National Young Professionals virtual conference.
Ooh.
We don't have dates for it yet. It's heartbreaking. This was actually the week that we
I
were supposed to have the National Young Professionals Conference here in Madison, but we will be designing a virtual one for everyone. We will also be having an Emerging Leaders Institute. Typically, that's in December in person, but we'll be doing a fantastic virtual one also. And of course, Kuna has outstanding webinars and e-schools that are available anywhere from DEI to emotional intelligence. That's one's coming up in the end of July, and anything in between. So check all of those out.
That's awesome. And I know I was so bummed. I was had to delete from my calendar the Cooperative Trust reception. I was super bummed about that because it's always one of our favorite events to host with you. So I'm super curious. I don't know if what's going to happen with CUNA Management School, but I also know that that is a top thing that crashers, when they go through crash, when they learn about DE, then they learn about CUNA Management School. That's really like a next step progression for a lot of these emerging leaders.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of curious, what are some things that leaders can do today that will help prepare them to be ready to attend CUNA Management School?
Awesome. The design of CUNA Management School is to create a well-rounded leader. So a well-rounded leader, you start off in your very specific niche and you get so good at that niche. But if you are going to be a leader and leading multiple teams, you need to know how to do that. And so my advice for young professionals waiting to get into CUNA Management School is to start looking at other departments. Start learning how you can learn from everyone at your credit union, not just your team. Definitely becoming an expert at your specific department is great. If you are a marketer, be the best marketer you can be. But then start learning, how does the IT department wrap into this? How does our loan department wrap into this? And just understanding the processes is always a great way to get started, because then at CUNA Management School, that's also what we teach. We also teach a lot about leadership, how to be an effective leader, how to lead in change, how to lead in times that are difficult, how to get people excited again about their jobs. So that is things that you should always be looking into, leadership and learning from those around you.
Yeah, that's super excellent. And one of our crashers actually today made that very same point. We did our final wrap up during lunch, and I had asked them, what's something that you really think has helped you to be where you are today? And her response was that she started off as a teller, but then she went into accounting, and then she went into IT, and then she went in and she listed like gosh, I want to say like 3 other departments, and all the crashers were just like, dang, like that's amazing. Where most of us started in contact centers or branches, and we
Yeah.
sort of just stayed there, right? You learn
Yep.
a lot of different skills about a lot of different things. But what she really said that was able to differentiate her through that process was that now it's very easy for her to go in and say, hey, this might be a better way of doing something because she knows so much about all the other departments. So it was just really interesting that you said that because we had a crasher that literally confirmed that this afternoon, not 20 minutes ago. So I just could not agree with you more. So you kind
Good.
of, yeah, it was super awesome. Natalie West from Resource One, by the way, just thought I'd give her a little
Good job,
plug.
Natalie.
So you kind of mentioned this already, this idea of going virtual, but I'm super curious if you could go into a little bit more detail about how these educational programs have pivoted in the world of COVID-19.
Yes. So the biggest thing we have learned once we knew we were pivoting to virtual events, which typically is not what we focused on. We were face to face. The We rushed right into, okay, what's the platform? How are we going to do this? What's the best learning design? How do we teach adults the best way? But also in the end, we learned sticking to the core of what we need to be training is the number one priority. When it comes to the event, what do credit union employees need to learn? What do they need to take away to be the most successful person they can be? Put the best foot forward when they're at their credit unions, and really focusing on the content learning design and the core around that. And that really helped all of us. My instructional design managers are so passionate about the audiences that they develop for, and we just focused in on that. And the IT side, the software side, all of that will come together as it
Yeah.
needs to. But if we're getting that content out and we are training a next generation of professionals, then we won.
Oh, that's awesome. And this is kind of a bit of a tangent, but it got me thinking, are your design managers all in Madison, or are a lot of them remote and working, across America?
Yes, we have all over the place. We are based in Madison, so we have a few in Madison, but we also have some out in Georgia. And you can be a design manager anywhere now.
So have you found that this, new remote work life, has that really affected the workflow or productivity for your team at all?
We were so lucky that Kuna was forward thinking. We have actually had the opportunity to be working from home before COVID.
Hmm.
So I was working part time in the office and part time at home, and so was my team. So when we all just decided to stay home, it was a pretty easy transition for us. We already had everything set up to just move forward. We had the processes in place, and we could pivot extremely quickly because we already had that comfort level in
Hmm.
being virtual.
That's really awesome. And do you feel like with the rest of the organization going virtual, was there a lot of work that had to be due to kind of keep that collaborative culture going, or have you found that across the organization that CUNA just really is hitting that collaboration nail on the head?
We became more collaborative,
Oh,
and
that's
I'm
amazing.
it was so outstanding how more collaborative became because we had more meetings. We added a lot more meetings just so we could make sure everyone was comfortable, everyone was confident, and that we were on the same page together. But while we were doing that, we had more departments coming together in different meetings, and the collaboration got even stronger. So instead of just being, here's conferences, here's learning events, and this is what we do, we were hearing from what our publications team was doing, what our councils team was doing, and we could say, oh, I've got this really great speaker. Let's try this person over here. Let's try. Collaboration actually got better.
That's so fantastic. And it sounds like it got better and the product improved because of it, which is a phenomenal like outcome, like truly.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
That is so
Yeah.
awesome. So, is there anything that you've learned in this process about, flexibility or collaboration that you think would be something important for emerging leaders, or not even emerging leaders, current credit union leaders, for them to really think about and perhaps reframe from their current ways of thinking?
One thing that we found is when it comes to change, there's such a spectrum of where people land on change. Some people are, let's change every day. Let's always try to be doing something different. Let's move forward as fast as we can. And there's others that change doesn't come easy to them. So it's always best to find that middle ground, but have that conversation of, yes, thank you for powering forward and getting us forward, but then also focusing back of, okay, here's the reason why, pulling it back to the why we're doing this. And at Kuna, the why is an easy one for us. The why is credit unions, and we develop and design for credit unions. So when you can bring it back to that and have that core, the core of the why, everyone is on the same page no matter how comfortable they feel with the change. So having that value proposition is always key.
I think if Simon Sinek were listening in on this, he probably would have given you a big golden circle high five.
I'll take
um,
that high five.
yes, awesome. So, is there any advice that has helped you develop into a life learner? I've classified you as a lifelong learner just based on how I know you and how like you just are always thinking of new ways to support credit unions and credit union professionals. Um, did someone inspire that in you, or was that sort of like a self-taught, way of being for you?
you Someone inspire me. Oh, my parents, of course, have always inspired me in everything I do. My parents are hardworking farmers.
Hmm.
I'm a Wisconsin girl, born and raised. So to learn from them, but knowing that they didn't just stay home, they always wanted to get out there and learn more, to learn how they could do things better. Um, Also, learning from others. I love listening. And that's the key to being a lifelong learner, is that it doesn't mean you just read a book. Yes, that's an awesome option. Or just listen to a podcast. Get out there and ask people questions. Find an expert or even someone who knows something about something you want to learn and say, "Hey, I wish I knew more about this, and I feel like you know something. I feel like you've studied this. I feel like I've seen you do a talk on this. Can you tell me more about this? I want to learn from you." And then when you ask that question, make sure you stop and listen. And that is the key, is stop and listen and understand and learn from others so you can have that base, uh, and to just keep going out there and asking questions and hearing people's stories. And that's what excites me in being a lifelong learner.
That's awesome. And I want to give you the final word, because that's what we do here is we give our guests the final opportunity to share any last bits of wisdom that they have. So if you had the floor, 10,000 people strong in our online community, what's one thing that you would want to leave them with in terms of learning?
Yes, I thought hard about this question. So I've been in leadership education for specifically credit unions for over 13 years now. And when I listen to think of that many conferences in 13 years where I've been in the back of the room hearing from outstanding leaders and outstanding speakers, what have I heard and what have I learned that I would want young professionals to know? I hear a lot about being authentic, and I 100% being authentic is huge. But what I preach is being accountable. Being accountable for young professionals will take you so far. Being authentic is something that's you, but being accountable is something that you have to prove, and you have to have people trust in you that you are accountable. So when you have a job description in front of you, you have your job in front of you, make sure you're doing all of it. There might be parts of it you don't like to do, but that doesn't mean you don't do them. You have to make sure you're going to do what you say you're going to do and do what you're asked to do. That's what I hear the most from executives when they say they're coaching young professionals, and they say their young professionals want to get out there and they want to be a part of all these extra activities, they want to do a crash, but they don't trust that they're going to be accountable for the work that they're responsible in doing back at the credit union. So if you can gain that trust that you are an accountable person, you will be able to get out there and do all those extra activities and be truly a part of this amazing industry and all the opportunities that are out there.
That is
So
awesome.
that's my last word. Be
That's
accountable.
amazing. And then by you being accountable, that allows you to showcase your authentic self because people are
Yes,
giving you the opportunity to actually go out there and do it. I absolutely love that. Well, Kristin, this has been so fantastic. I mean, we're both in
it is.
Wisconsin. We haven't been able to see each
I
other
know.
since GAC, but we definitely
I
got the whole
know.
memo for the shirt thing going on, which I
I'm
just,
glad you.
I love it. But anywho, I'm so excited that you were able to join us today. So thank you so much for being here. If anybody does have questions for Kristin, you can find her on LinkedIn. I hope that's okay that I
Yes,
just plugged you that way.
absolutely,
But
absolutely.
you can also find her on the Credit Union National Association website. She's an amazing human being, and I'm sure she would love to answer any of your questions. So thank you again for being here.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, Courtney. It was
Thank
great to talk
you.
to you today.
See ya. All right, Cooperative Trust, that concludes our 5th episode of Cooperative Chats. We hope that you enjoyed it. As always, please feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel, ask any questions that you have. We're happy to get them answered for you, as well as be prepared for our next episode. That's coming on July 1st. And we're going to be starting a brand new theme. And it just so happens that our brand new theme is kicking off on the 1st of July. And that theme is thought leadership. And we have a very exciting guest. Her name is Emily Leach. She is the Chief of Staff to the CEO of Visa. Yes, that Visa. So we're so excited to bring her on. Not only is she an amazing and powerful woman and thought leader, but she was also part of the Crasher fam. I shouldn't say was, she is still part of the Crasher fam. And she's helped mentor Crashers through several governmental affairs conferences, as well as just really is super supportive of all of these emerging leaders. So you'll want to make sure that you tune in for our next week's episode. But again, it's always so much fun to chat with you all. We hope to see you next week on July 1st.